5:32, so I will call this work session of the Mayor and Council for the City of Snellville, Georgia for Monday, July 11th, 2022 to order. It's been a while since we've all been here. Good to see everybody.
That's for sure.
So first we'll go through the regular business meeting. So let's see, we've got Mike Sabag for the invocation. Someone want to do the pledge?
I'll do it.
And we have the minutes. We've got Mike on as an invited guest. Then we'll have, under the public hearing, we've got the proposed 2020 millage rate. So this portion of the public meeting, like always, is just allowing people to come up and make comments on the millage rate. What's been proposed is it 4.0?
Yes.
Sorry, that's my timer telling me I need to be here.
You're late.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have the second reading, RZ 2204 on CKK.
That one's gonna be, post table, they're gonna request the table to work some stuff out with, the HOA, and then I'll keep working on our stuff with Chuck, and
Okay.
basically, some questions we had about conditions, and then by then I can give a report back about the street, right?
Yeah.
And then the other issue was the enforcement of the 10%
Right.
lease rental. Excuse me. And I'll talk to Chuck and see if that's enforceable. Go ahead.
Did you get my voicemail I left on Friday asking?
No.
Oh, it wasn't
I
just
mean,
me?
I might have gotten it,
Okay.
but I don't remember hearing it. I got Christie's, right?
I was just curious about some of these things that the city engineer had raised questions about.
Oh, the stormwater?
Yes.
I can speak to that real quick if you'd like. The stormwater pond was, in fact, constructed to accommodate those front parcels as per the plat.
The existing.
Yeah,
stormwater.
the old hickory. So it was constructed to take that water. And what will happen is, regardless of what you guys look at as far as approval, denial, if they were approved, before they can build that, they have to prove through a hydrology report that they can convey the water to the pond and that it's substantial enough to hold it. If the outlet control structure is too low and they have room to go up, they can go up as long as their banks are big enough. And they were designed to accommodate commercial property on the front. Residential is much less, there's a lot less pervious surface, probably 30 to 40%. So once they can prove that and get the hydrology study approved, any water that moves from private property to private property has to have an easement now to move the stormwater. So what it looked like for me is they were going to push all the water to the street and then pick it up in a catch basin that would then go back. So Larry again would decide if they needed a stormwater easement or not. Now any private agreements as far as making sure there's resources there to maintain it by their guys is up between them and the HOA to provide that agreement that they've already agreed on that to pay their share. I guess they'd split it up by house and then chunk it out and have to pay HOA dues for that. So that's how the stormwater would work. So there wouldn't be a pond there, and we were talking about that. If they came back and said we needed a pond, we would consider that substantial change because there's no pond shown, and then we could bring it back because likely it'd be on that corner, but that's going to kill it anyway. So I don't think you're going to see the need for any of that because it was designed there, unless it's just grossly deficient now, which I really doubt it. They built that to, it provides value just like when we built the pond for town center. At the time, they probably thought it was going to develop pretty fast. It just never did. It was never good for commercial since it's been there.
What about some of these other things, like the engineer pointed out, like the curb cut location would displace the call box for Old Hickory Village?
They reworked the site plan, so it
reworked
went through. I don't think that's gonna be an issue, but any of that still has to make it through safe engineering
Okay,
practices. So
okay.
an approval from the zoning standpoint, if the site plan doesn't work, it's not gonna happen, so they have to make that work. It looks like there'll be a place for one car to go out. If you think about it, 27 houses, you're gonna get 100 trips a day, versus what the commercial would have brought in, hundreds. Not,
Yeah.
it was a member of the doctor's office, a daycare, and some other stuff. So, I told them if they were worried about the stop sign, I said, just a joke. The backup, they could just take the gates down, and nobody really liked it. They didn't want it.
I like that.
I'm like, hey, if you
If
just
we're gonna
pull
pay
the
them-
gates, you can go straight to the stop sign, and they're all like.
Does anybody else have an issue? I know it's below 8 units an acre, but 27 townhomes in that area is a lot.
I think it's,
I think it's too many.
it's, in order to yield, to make the performer work, it doesn't work with commercial. But if it fits in the category, that's kind of how we have to look at it. It's below 8, so it fits in that land use. If you want to adjust the land use parameters from 8 units per acre to 6, you want to really do it there. It's kind of hard, I think, to just say, well, how many is too many? Is it 15? I mean, because they look squeezed. I mean, when you look at the raw number, you have to kind of go back to the comp plan. The comp plan says medium density is 4 to 8. So if you're okay with medium density residential there, you're okay with it pretty much up to 8. Anything over that is not medium density. Anything under it is low density. So you have to look,
Yeah.
that's kind of how you have to approach stuff like
But-
that.
It's just, yeah, I think where it's in my mind is where it is and how they'll come out of there. It
Yeah,
just
again.
seems like, you've got one street in with a cul-de-sac. How big is that cul-de-sac? Is it a standard
It'll
size?
be per fire marshal. They have to meet the fire marshal and school bus codes. Remember, right now, it's zoned with that same setup, or probably a worse setup that we would have passed through for 5 or 6 times intensity with commercial use. So
Yeah.
unless Georgia DOT is gonna give them a turn-in, which is very unlikely because they like you to use those secondary roads and you have a light, that's just part of it. I mean,
Right.
it's just the way those lots were designed, and it's actually gonna be better if it's residential than commercial, in my opinion, because there's just less cars, and I don't think typical residential is at 9 and 5 anymore. It's kind of, people stay at home a little more, so
Yeah.
I don't think the traffic's gonna be a big deal. In the grand scheme of things, when you got 200 houses behind it, a car every now and then coming across.
Yeah. Well, I
Yep.
mean, you do have a red light getting out onto 78, so that
Yeah.
makes it.
I mean,
To your statement that up to 8 is permissible, it is. But they're asking for a variance on the setback. Their street is shown as being 36 inches too small because they're measuring
They do need to
it back
fix
of
that.
curb, so that's another 2 feet. They want the landscape strip at the front to be cut down from 5 to 2, and they want the sidewalk cut down from 6 to, I think, 5. So you're talking about a whole bunch of variances
Right.
that are required in order to get that
And
27.
And the
So-
variance, so the
UDO.
setbacks have been resolved, and the reason that they were setting, they needed a variance on the rear, it was in the staff report, is that a wall is built on their property up to 8 feet encroachment. So what they were trying to do was to get off that wall and give the residents their space. And then the first way they tried to do that was just the variance. When we came back, people felt it was appropriate to reserve that space for the residents and shift everything forward, which they've done within the setbacks. Now, I don't know if they can accommodate that extra 36 inches, that 1.5 on either side. And, but everything else is good now.
And doesn't our code require something other than a sea of garage doors? Didn't we change it so we're not gonna have garage door entry door, garage door, entry door.
Not with townhomes, there are specific standards for townhomes, but you can't, unless you build the rear alley, that's what you get, you know, it's
Well,
door, and there's a certain percentage, but it's standard townhome architecture.
Right, and we were trying to get away from.
We did, I think we
Yeah,
added some.
the reason we wrote our UDO the way we did was so we wouldn't end up with that standard townhome.
Well, I just mean like the
Right.
way they're built, like, with
Well,
what you said,
'cause-
garage
And we did
door.
that, and then we immediately caved on Meritage.
Yeah, we came down,
We didn't give them any.
the discussion at Meritage was, we're not doing this again, so we're doing this again.
What do you mean?
That we were,
When we gave into Meritage, we said this is the last time.
No
Because it was
front
supposed to be
porch,
rear
no, there's no house, it's a garage with a door, it's a garage with a door, it's a garage with a door.
Yeah, but,
And when you do that, there's no space for any street parking because every driveway is 6 feet away from the next driveway. So it leads to a community that looks great on paper, looks great when it's built, but in the future going forward,
well, it sounds like we just need to remove townhomes from the UDO.
Well-
That's where we need to get to. I mean,
No,
honestly, we have problems with these small lots, we have problems with the design, we need to just yoke them out and go back to the old ones, and then we're not here doing this, because if you don't want townhomes, you just take them out. You don't.
no,
go
we
with
want
that option.
townhomes built to the standards that we have in our UDO.
Yeah, which I think they're gonna fall in there. I mean, you can't get away from a garage door and an entry door in a townhome if it's a street entrance. That's just what they
Well,
are.
then they need to be turned around and be
Well, yeah, so
facing.
you eliminate front entry townhomes and only do rear entry, but that has to be something, to me, that needs to be done on the front end, so when you get these
Well,
applications, people know.
My belief was our code was written such that was,
well, we've got
Painfully clear,
2 more
but-
weeks
yeah.
to figure that out,
I
Well-
think they
so.
want a month, so let's put.
Oh,
Okay, so
Okay.
they want to table this through
Until when?
August 8th?
Yeah, if
Is that
you
right?
wanna push them till the end, that's fine too, we've got some more second reasons, but I don't think they're gonna object. Their issues were with trying to make the HOA a little more happy with some
Right.
of the entrances or something, I can't remember,
Well,
but,
then,
the HOA attorney called and said he was in favor
So
of
it
it.
would be the,
Well, we have a meeting on the 25th, or we have it on August 15th, no,
August 8th,
8th.
and then the 22nd of August,
They're supposed to
Gonna be
be
gone
here,
for
and if I see him before then, I'll check. Yeah,
Okay.
let's just default to the 22nd, if they don't show up, that's all right.
till August 22nd.
Unless they wanna go back to the 8th, and I'll see if he's here today.
Okay.
He's not gonna remember.
All right, and then a bunch of first reads. Any questions on the first reads? One's by Tomco. This is a cleanup of some issues that they've got out there that are all grandfathered. They're cleaning up some things that are in nonconformity right now. So we're clearing the slate with them,
Kinda.
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 They're gonna get to build their carport shed, and then we're gonna tell them that they have to fix it all before their next big expansion, if they agree to the condition.
Okay. Then we have RZ 2205, which is an application, is on that property that they,
this is, Jason, this is essentially what they submitted before.
Which one are we, on the
that-
North
Where
Yes,
they
yes.
the North Church that
It's
they
the
withdrew.
same plat-wise, but generally, the homes are bigger, 24 to 2,800 instead of before. If you look on the site plan, you can still see the relics of the two-bedroom, 1,200 square foot homes. That was a concern. And I believe the builder is different too. It's not the same group. Supposedly Century is gonna do those too, I think, if approved. And the issue, I talked with Councilwoman Linsky about that pond too, being
Yeah.
in the front, but they've turned it into more of an amenity space. Again, that one fits single-family residential at like 3.9. It's appropriate in the land
So are you
use
saying
chart.
they've turned the detention pond into?
Well, instead of it being, everybody is worried about it, the eyesore, they
Yeah.
put it like a walking path around it. I don't know what they're gonna do, how
Can-
deep it's gonna be, maybe something more to explore. with them. I know they did that at the Sheridan, but that was a big pond. If it's just a retention pond, it's not really holding water, I don't know what kind of amenity it's gonna be. But that's something to ask those guys, because we haven't really been into it with them.
Wondering if they can do an underground.
You can ask, yeah,
Yeah.
you can definitely ask. They could do underground.
I
there,
already have a
sure.
lovely view coming
They
out of
can
my
get a lot of
neighborhood.
Usable green space too,
Yeah.
because that becomes your green space. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, you can condition it that way if you want. I don't know how that works. I mean, you can always condition it for more, right?
And then
If
we'll-
you want.
And then we'll have a first read on one on Rockdale Circle for a 25-acre site.
I'm getting a lot of pushback
There's a lot of
from
pushback.
residents on that.
I haven't heard anything from anybody.
There's a lot been posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
And
But that's
some conversations, we'll be running into some
That
people.
one's from medium
Yeah.
density to low density too, so
Yeah.
just be aware.
Was that the Prather property?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, so,
it's
we already paid for this one.
Small property now,
Right,
but it's only a portion, it's 25 acres of.
right. I was just curious if it was the same.
Yeah, because remember, they came back, told us to make it better, we made it a little bit better, and at that point, that's right when the market fell out, and they kind of went away. And this is actually gonna be Century, the guys that built it, have made the application.
So we're gonna have stormwater issues every time it rains, is what you're telling me?
What do you mean? Well, we already do it, stormwater, I mean, at there, Century?
Yeah. Saddlebrook?
Rockdale?
Saddlebrook?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh.
let's stay on topic here. We got a lot to talk about.
My issue, my biggest issue on that is there's only one point of ingress and egress. And most of the comments that I'm getting are
Traffic.
traffic.
And schools.
Traffic
some
and
schools.
schools.
Yeah,
And that really,
And
traffic is.
the density, I
is
mean.
the county.
Yeah.
The density is low density.
well, there,
It's low density.
there are
It's
two.
lower density than what it's
Than it
zoned.
was.
Yeah, there are two stubs, one coming off Abington, one coming off of the other one.
In the back.
Yeah, that come close to the property but don't touch it. I'm pretty sure it's on the adjacent property.
On the
So,
existing roads, correct?
yes,
I'd love to punch them through.
right. And that gives access to lights and everything else. So if you would bring that up with them,
I'm sure they'd be. okay
or
with
if you
that.
want to set up a meeting with them before,
I'll let them know.
okay.
Okay, then we have, under the new business, we have the action on the IGA with the county for the SPOSS vote. If you've read through that, that's basically the agreement, how money would be spread out should the vote pass. So we need to approve that tonight. We've got a janitorial services bid. Any questions or
We had
anything?
about 10 bidders, I think they're in your packet. The low bidder is the current company, and Melissa and I think Matt and Andrew had a chance to meet with them, and we feel like they'll do a better job, and they're the recommended group. They were by far the lowest.
And that's for a probationary 90 days? So,
Right.
Okay.
3 months. Why was there such an incredible gap in the high and low?
No idea.
What's happening in that?
No idea.
somebody was
23,
required to submit a bid.
All the way to almost 200,000. I mean, that's a whole zero
A
difference.
lot of times
Everybody
you'll
got
see that, they
that.
just, one company says, oh, it's government.
Throw
I
it
see.
together.
Yeah.
Or if they haven't done it before, they have to account for unknown situations, so they put extra money in there.
Great.
And then the new maintenance building at Briscoe. Can you talk about that?
This is, in working with Croft and Oscar Herrera, our engineer, in order to beat the supply chain issues and move this thing along and get it built, hopefully next spring or earlier, it's really a three-step process. They have a preferred vendor for the building. It's Champion Building. And the price that they gave us for the building and its construction was a little over $250,000. The other two parts of this, we would bid out the site work and we would also bid out the interior completion of the building. In order to move this along and keep it going, the purchase of the building, they'll start manufacturing it and get ready to erect it, and work with the site work contractor, whoever that happens to be. But without a doubt, to do it in closer to budget and to beat the supply chain issues, this was the best process that we could come up with. So that's why the building is on the building and its erection is on the agenda for tonight.
Okay. But we still have to go through a process for the site work.
We do site work and the build out. This is a little, we know what size the building is, we know what it's gonna look like. Oscar's done a great job working with Lisa and Matt on that, and this keeps the process moving and probably saves us 6 months.
And the name of the color was not a discernible color. What color is it gonna be?
Tapioca.
It's like Krylon or something.
Krylon.
Yeah.
Probably that's the paint.
That's the
That's
name.
the paint.
No.
No, it looks-
Spray cans, you can paint it.
The standard is a light beige.
What color did you pick? Just the
What color
beige?
is it?
Yeah.
It's neutral, I don't know the
Yeah.
exact name, but
Okay.
it's all neutral.
Well, the exact name was in there and it doesn't mean anything.
I'm just saying, I don't remember what that was, but we.
It means something to them, Barbara.
Yes.
Krylon beige.
It's like those paint colors, you know,
Yeah.
they just come up with some weird name.
Morning
It just doesn't
dove.
sound good. Yes.
Yeah.
Emerald forest. We need emerald forest.
Okay, and then, consideration, we'll go back and talk about this in the work session on a moratorium for residential. So I'll skip over that here because it's on the work session agenda. And then some reappointments to some board commissions, or boards. I was just planning on doing it the way we've got this listed, so doing each board in one vote, not doing everybody in specific, if everybody's okay with that. Okay. All right, so now let's go back to our work session agenda. Any correspondence?
No, ma'am.
City attorney's report?
Just briefly, we had our annual city attorney's luncheon down at Savannah and had some really great speakers. Especially we talked about how to handle the ARPA funds and also for contested elections. We're really good speakers, and I'll be putting some of that together to give you all some summaries on that down the road.
Okay, ongoing projects, which,
Let's go through this pretty quickly. If we look at the town center progress report, on the Market Hall, we held a pre-con meeting with several potential contractors. It was not mandatory, but the bid is due this Friday. So we're looking forward to, about 10 different contractors picked up those plans. So hopefully it will be good and competitive. The deck, the final punch list should be finished this week. It's already been CO'd by the county. Apartments will be done October, November, and the Thrive lease issues, I think we're going to talk about real quickly.
yeah, we've got, I talked to Ramon a week ago, and the 90-day ramp-up period that we put on there won't work for him. So he was asking for a longer ramp-up period, back to like the 18 months and,
90 days to 18 months.
well,
Big difference.
way back when, in our original discussions, he was always at like an 18-month period of some kind of free rent or rent abatement, and the structure hasn't substantially changed, but a few things did. And as it's been going through these final negotiations now, it was listed as a ramp-up period, which he had in his head was 18 months, and then it wasn't defined anywhere, and that's when Butch said, hey, we need to define this, and we threw it out to everybody, and everybody said, oh, 90 days sounds good. So what he asked for a little bit more concession for a longer period of time. What I talked with Chuck about and Butch, and so I'm looking at going back to him with shorter period of time with a stepped-up rent, no free rent period, but like a third for, what did we say, 6 months, and then a third, or 2/3 for 6 months. And so Chuck is gonna just run that by with Blake, with the DDA's attorney.
You're saying he'd pay 1/3 of his
1/3
rent
rent
for the first
6
6
months.
months?
And then
two-thirds,
2/3
and
for
then-
the next
At
6
12
months.
Okay,
Yep. and
6 to
then-
12,
100% at the 1-year period.
100.
And we still get, and all the, anything over his expenses still comes to us.
So even in that initial ramp-up period, if he ramps up right away and he's, at full lease capacity and he's paying reduced rent, then any of the excess profit then comes back to us to pay down what we've invested in the project.
And what is the start of that clock?
Would be when his rent payments would start.
No, I understand. When the 3-month, 6-month, the ramp up, does that start on the day we turn it over to
Yes.
him?
Yes.
Does that,
Yeah.
and so that's, construction has been completed?
Yes.
And, okay. Just want to make sure.
Yep. So that's kind of where we are on that. Hopefully we'll get that firmed up this week and be ready.
Speaking of construction,
Yes.
you have a couple of very interesting pieces of paper in front of you from Reeves Young. We had a conversation with them last week, and this is where we stand as far as cost of the redesign for the second floor. The first page is the credit for the wipeout design. $1,310,586. It's a little higher than we thought it would be, and you have to realize it really is 1,360. The $50,000 allowance is for roller shades on the windows, which were not there to begin with. So you look at that 1,310, which would be a credit towards our total charge. The second page is their number for the redesign, the new design in the second floor. The bottom line there comes to $2,567,887. The total change would be a little over $1.25 million, $1,257,301. That would be the maximum. Right now, we are obviously the number that caught our eye in the revision 14 for the second floor cost is the almost $870,000 for electrical. The Bobby Boylston, their project manager, Mark LeBlanc from the county, we feel like that can come down. We're looking at AV and low voltage numbers. We're looking at a lot of other things. Look, for instance, aluminum door frames instead of steel. Big potential savings there. They've already come up with a potential $8,000 credit if we can get them working on the roof before it gets any farther along. So what I needed from you guys is okay to start working with the county, keep working with the county, because they have to go, it's probably going to be sometime in August before they can get to their board, because they have to have the change order approved, even though we're paying for it all.
Right.
So if you guys can be okay with this being the maximum number, let us continue to work on value engineering and some cost savings, work with the county, work with Reeves Young, so we can keep this thing moving. And you see a note up here, final completion, June of '23. Mark LeBlanc and really Matt in that meeting, Reeves Young, I think they believe we can shorten that maybe a couple of months. It depends. For instance, if we can go with the aluminum door frames that can be painted rather than waiting on the steel. There's several things that these numbers, I forgot exactly the term they used, not conservative, but I think they said these were prudent numbers. And so I think that 1,257, when we first started talking about this, we were looking at numbers higher than this. We were looking at 1.5 to 2.5 million. So no, it's not ideal, but we do have a tenant who we're working with, who will pay a substantial amount of rent. And I just feel like right now, with all the steps that we've taken before, these numbers are not that bad. You have to remember, in all this time, their estimate building costs went up 15%. So that's a number that cost us. That's a couple $100,000 or more. So that would have been there no matter what. So let's, I just need you guys to see that and let Matt and I proceed to work on these numbers and try to get them down, and then bring a final agreement to y'all, hopefully the next meeting.
Everybody good?
Yep.
Yep. All right, let's head nods.
The sanitation recycling, nothing new there. Shelley came and gave a good presentation. We'll have, we're still trying to reduce the general fund subsidy. I just need to remind you, Melissa, it's probably an August 1 deadline for property tax bill inclusion, correct? Whatever we want to do, if we do anything. Sidewalk improvements, Larry is ready for hopefully a lot of homeowners in the community room tonight. He should have a cost update after these meetings at the end of this week. Still looking at city citizen committee setup. Still looking for a date for Oak Road cleanup. ARPA funds, we thought closer to July 1, the second tranche would be coming in. It's not in yet. We have set up everything we need, answered all their questions. We're ready to receive the money. GMA is saying this week or next week. So we'll see we'll let you know how that goes. Briscoe Park progress, we talked about the maintenance building, how the process will work, the best way for it to work, and I appreciate your support of that. Zoning category review, obviously we still have some issues to work through on, because we have, this is a small project here. We're talking about Rockdale Circle. We're going to be talking about bigger projects like Snellville Oaks and like Rosebud and 78. There's still some discussion and input to be had there. Maybe even another work session. Package sales referendum, we still have to set that timeline. We've got to approve that ordinance. I've got a little bit more time as opposed to the sanitation issue. And economic development activities, a lot of rehab work is going on at Cobblestone. Some good, we're finding some things that we didn't really know were there. Some water issues that caused settlement of one of the buildings, where I guess Larry and Matt are working on numbers now. We feel, hopefully everything can be taken care of with the contingency that's in the contract. But the good news is that they did put one window in, it fit, there was no rot. Hopefully all the windows. Listen, it's a start. All you have to do is go down towards Clower and take a look at the work going on there, and it's frustrating. But anyway, Clower opened on time. I love the roundabout. It's much easier to get out at the end of Clower now.
You better be careful though, if you swing in with these northbound wisterias, or I guess.
They do not.
They don't look.
No,
I'm just
no.
like, hey.
Yeah.
They think it's still straight, yeah.
We need to make sure we get a yield sign up there quickly.
People are just like so focused.
Do we think it might be a good idea to hold a work session to talk about sanitation and recycling? I mean, I don't feel like I have a clear sense of direction for that.
We need more money.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
How do we get it
we
is
need to
basically,
discuss our options
Yeah,
and what we
right.
want to do.
Yep. Yeah, we can do that.
Well, why don't we look at
Combining
doing
the
the,
zoning category.
yeah, the
review.
zoning and the sanitation together.
How about liquor timeline?
We've got a call for the referendum by August, so we need to have,
Get that.
I mean, we're down to those
discussed.
last couple of points in the
Yeah.
draft ordinance and then finalizing how we would do a selection. I got a call from somebody today, so I think I'm gonna pick their brain a little bit more, and then I'll let you know what I find out.
Yeah. We're
I'll send that out this
scheduling
week, yeah.
those. We can talk about those three things at
I
some
think it'd be a
point.
good idea.
Okey-doke, we'll get that scheduled. All right, item B, discussion about better communication between council, Solange.
Oh, yeah. So we as a council, we must be more transparent, more inclusive. And I feel that each council member need to be held accountable when they are culturally bashing other cultures or doing things of that nature. Okay? With that being said, I personally took offense when you thought, attacked, or actually posted a picture of an Asian woman. Her name is Sue Kim, not Suk Kim. Okay? When you posted that was blatant racially motivated. Blatantly. No.
Did
Let me talk.
Did I
No.
post that on my city council?
Look, let me tell you. Wait, let me tell you.
Did I?
You attacked that woman because with a name like that, let me quote what you said. With a name like that, I thought for sure it would be a different charge because she was charged for a DUI. What she did is to humanize her. Okay? And brought her about as a sex stereotype. If you tell me it's not racism, I'm telling you it is. I'm telling you it is.
That was brought to my
Because,
attention.
it was
I
brought to your
appreciate
attention, but okay, but you don't get to apologize because you guys do things and then you want to apologize. And you do the things again and you want to apologize.
It will
Right?
never happen again, Solange.
No, it will never happen again. Now, what you also did, state the post that this woman in private sent to you
Yes,
and put it on your public page.
yes, I did.
Okay? So your henchmen can come and attack her. People who don't know,
What exactly
don't tell me you
is
did it.
henchmen?
People who,
Solange,
citizens,
I'm gonna ask you, we're professional in here, I'm gonna ask you to keep your voice down,
Okay.
we're not yelling at each other.
Okay. What I mean by henchmen, you can go ahead and do whatever. What I mean by henchmen is that
I just
you
turned my phone
allowed,
off.
don't
That's all I
care,
did.
you allowed citizens to go and fight with each other. Okay? People who don't know each other. They came on and attacked this woman because all she did was come to the defense of the Asian lady. Everybody jumped on her. Everybody cursed her to the point where somebody said, F you. F you.
Okay, does that have
F
anything
you.
to do with
Anything to do with us.
communication of council?
Oh, yes, it does.
Okay.
Oh, yes, it does.
Because,
Because I need to be, no, because I am very culturally sensitive.
Okay.
So I need you guys to be careful with what comes out of your mouth, especially you. So yes, it is communication.
Why are you
You're lacking.
out him?
Should I include you too?
Please
You
do.
remember when I was talking to Chief
Please
Perry
do.
about the Citizen Advisory Board? What did you say in front of Chief Perry? We don't want an all-black board. I haven't even presented everything to him. We don't want an all-black board. When I say to you, it's who?
I disagree
Mayor
with
and
your characterization
no,
of this conversation.
mayor and council. So do not come to me and act like, why am I attacking him? Based on culture, yeah, that's just how that goes. Okay? You're not gonna go and try to hide and act like you didn't say anything either. Because when I asked you, who said they don't want an
Say it
all-black
right
board?
here.
No, you said to me, mayor and council, and I was like, huh? They don't want to know black, but I was basically in the process of explaining to Chief Greg Perry how I would pull those people.
how you would pull those people.
How I would, well,
You would pull those people,
Well, what-
not mayor and council.
no, not necessarily, but this is what I'm
That's what
looking for.
you just said.
Okay, Barbara, how I would pull them is just to make the board very diverse. Bring some names, because we already had a discussion with the work session, and you gave me the okay to start small. You gave me the okay to start small.
This was 2 years ago.
And well, it doesn't matter, but I had to bring it back, I had to
I would have.
see if I can
really
get
enjoyed-
it.
I would have
No,
really
no,
enjoyed
Christine,
hearing about
no,
it
no.
2 years ago.
No, you're trying, I don't want, no.
And I would have really enjoyed
No,
hearing about
Christine.
it
No,
at
you
the
know what?
moment.
Well, that's what I'm telling you at this moment. No, I told you last year. I
About
told you
3
about
months
it.
later, after you
Christine.
rode down to Savannah.
Christine.
Okay, we're not being productive here.
Christine, right, okay,
Do you
but
have other
anyway,
issues on your list?
I have, so that is one, okay, with her. And so, in the future, when there are any council members, okay, who are culturally or showing that they are being very insensitive to other cultures, especially in Todd's case. This is the Asian
It was a
community.
bad call.
And mine as well.
I feel that as a
Don't wanna be
city,
excluded.
if maybe we can,
Or not stand.
can I just talk?
Pardon me,
As maybe, your pardon,
I don't.
that maybe as a council, or maybe Chuck can help us on that, because I know personally, when we were starting to have issues, I spoke to Chuck about it, nothing was done. I spoke to Barbara about it, as a matter of fact, it got worse.
What is it that you
Okay?
suggest would be done?
So can I finish talking? I have the floor right now, not you.
Solange.
No, because she needs to
Solange,
not,
stop.
You will not
Say
she needs not,
listen to
okay?
me with that kind of
You are not
attitude.
talking
No,
about
but she can keep
council
stopping me.
members.
She can stop me when I'm speaking.
I
Speak in a civil
Okay?
tone.
Okay,
I am
stop.
speaking in a
Solange
civil
has
tone
the
until
floor.
you say me.
Dave,
Okay.
Solange has the floor.
Okay, so what I'm asking for is that if maybe we can put out a press release to the Asian community, letting them know, we as a whole don't condone with the statement that Todd Warner has issued about the Asian woman.
I don't agree with that. That
Right.
is something because, now while I will jump, I will be the first to jump on a council member when I see them doing things on their personal page that maybe they shouldn't be saying.
They
But
should-
it is not in relation to the city. Any comments that are made on somebody's personal page, that's up to them and the voters that vote them into
Okay, but is that
office.
not a reflection of us also as a council?
I don't view it as I don't view something that Todd Warner, Gretchen Schultz, Solange DeStang, or Dave Emanuel, or Christy Linsky says out there in the universe as a reflection on what I'm doing here on this council.
Yeah, but are we not the body of council?
If it were
Right.
on a city council member's page, I have a different opinion about that. And Solange, we've had in our past, I've been around a lot of people, and we used to call each other out when things went up on Facebook, and we'd call and say, oh, I don't think you should post that, why don't you take it down? Or we'd call and say, hey, I'm about to post this, and they're like, oh, no, don't do that. I mean, and we've put on our friends on Facebook restriction where they couldn't post for 10 days because of things that were said on Facebook and the way they were said. So we've done that, but it's personal and it's outside of this council. It is not mayor and council, and it is not, I feel, a reflection on the city. I think it's a reflection on the individual that is making those comments.
Okay, but who do we represent though?
We represent our individual voters, but there is a separation between that and what you do personally and that what you were doing as a city council member. And I don't think we need to start getting involved in every post that someone makes on
No, it's
Facebook.
not every post. It's just that to me, it was culturally insensitive, period.
Well, then that is
Culturally
up for the
insensitive.
person who made that culturally insensitive remark to make an apology if they so choose.
Mayor, if I might, if it was so insulting and insensitive, it would have been appropriate to contact me. If you don't feel comfortable calling me, you could have emailed me, you could have texted me, you specifically could have let me know, because this, on the agenda was council communication. And I have not heard from you since the night that I won re-election, and you told me, no, I need to stay neutral, I'm not coming to your get-together, which is fine. That is your
And what was your
prerogative.
response to me?
I said, probably.
Okay, we are not getting into that
I do
because that
not,
is
okay, I
clearly
do
a
not know,
personal
but.
issue
but-
and that is nothing
But
to
at that
do with
point, I
council
figured it was the
communication.
end of the conversation because I had things to do to get ready for my celebration, and you had told me you weren't gonna be there.
Yeah.
So,
But I still feel that this council needs to be a little bit more sensitive when you open your mouth and you deal with other cultures. You have to be sensitive.
I agree.
We're opening ourselves up to complaints, to maybe possible lawsuits, because people will feel as though maybe only a certain group of people matter as opposed to everybody.
And-
When you do that.
And I agree, and I would ask you, when we fall down, when we show our frailty, when we show our sordid side of humanity, that you reach out and you let us know right away. Because you have multiple ways to get in touch with us. And
Right, but you know what
to wait 4 or 5 months and then bring it up in a
4 or 5
public-
months? No.
Okay.
No.
Well,
But anyway, it is kind of difficult, right, to come to any of you if you've excluded me since December of last year.
It is not
2021.
a phone call.
2021.
Okay, we're not going any further with
Okay.
this. We're gonna go ahead and cut this off at 6:20. We still have a few things left on the
Okay.
agenda.
Yeah, I just wanted to address Dave for a second. That you are saying that I have not included council in the Juneteenth, and it's all about me. Again, I think that is a very, very, very poor judgment on your part to say that. Because it was from the beginning, I said to Barbara and to Butch, that this was a family Gwinnett event that they were putting on.
No, you said,
And you
I'm
can-
going to do it. And we had not one communication from you from when it first came up. Next thing we know, Juneteenth is going to be here,
No.
I'm doing this, I'm
No,
doing that.
there were-
Not
there
a
were-
single, not a single
Dave,
communication.
That's because you chose not to.
No.
That's a choice you
You have to
made.
call me,
Okay,
you have to
again,
send
I'm
some.
No.
gonna cut this
That's a
segment
choice
off.
you made.
We can continue
Choice
this
you made.
conversation at another time,
Yeah.
okay? Next item. Juneteenth paid holiday.
Okay, so, as you know, we recently celebrated Juneteenth, the festival, and I mentioned to the city workers, I said, hey, look, I'm going to do everything I can to try to work on making Juneteenth a paid holiday in the city. Okay? So, I motion for us to do it, for us to make Juneteenth a paid holiday in the city. Gretchen?
Well, we don't make
How would
motions.
you
so
motion
we're-
see it?
This isn't
This
how
is-
we
This
decide.
isn't a motion and a
I
vote.
would have appreciated if you'd come to us before you talked to the city employees. That would have been the proper procedure to
And
discuss it with
before
us.
it was posted on
And before
Facebook.
we approved a budget. We've approved a budget for next year already. I mean, I would have appreciated that kind of communication from you so we could talk about it, rather than you go to the city employees and you posted it already on Facebook.
All right.
That's really not our procedure. That,
Okay.
if you talk about communication,
So, okay.
it's a two-way street.
So can I move this on to put it on the agenda for next council meeting?
On the agenda for
Yeah.
a vote?
Yeah.
Do you have any details yet? Do you know how much it's gonna cost the city, what we need to do, how we're gonna pay for it?
Okay.
What other city holidays we already have? I mean, those are just a few initial questions. Because we approved the budget for next year. If you were intending to do it for June 2023, it's not included in the budget. So there's a procedure that would have to be done.
Okay, I'll reach out to Chuck and see,
Probably
or Butch.
Butch
Put
first.
it on first and then Chuck.
I mean, but I think it would be wise for you, you need four votes.
Right.
You can make a motion. You need a second, so you need somebody that's gonna support it for a second, and then you're gonna need 4 votes to get it passed.
Okay.
The
I'll
way you
speak
do
to
that
Butch.
is
Okay.
to talk to your council members, do your homework on it, figure out how much it's gonna cost, because for me, paid holidays are a budget issue. I'm a business person, I don't necessarily love paid holidays, because you're paying people to do nothing. You also have to look at,
Double time for the police.
you've gotta look at the repercussions. We've got time and a half or double time for police officers. Recycling center would be closed, so City Hall would be closed, so you're disrupting taxpayers in their dealings with the city. Trash collection would still collect, wouldn't it? Yes? No?
No.
So we've got a disruption for another week in the calendar for trash pickup, so we're impacting our citizens who are paying taxes that are gonna be
So
paying
is
these
that, okay,
employees.
so is that reference to Juneteenth, or is that for every federal holiday?
That's for
That
every-
everybody has off?
That's every holiday that the city has off. We don't necessarily go by federal holidays, we have to make it a city holiday. So it's all of those things that go into the consideration.
We have non-city holidays now so on, so just come by and.
Yeah, I will. I'll make an
Give you all the
appointment.
information that you.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Discussion about the senior center.
Well, but the big issue that I see is it's no longer a senior center, it's an adult activity center, and the age is 50 and up. And the hours of operation, I could be wrong, are like 9:30 to 4:30 every day, Monday through Friday. Most 50-year-olds can't attend any kind of activity during that. I guess they could come on their lunch if they live close enough. I just would like to see us, instead of emulating what Gwinnett County does, when questions have come up in the past, it's been, well, Gwinnett County. If we are just going to be a Gwinnett County Senior Center, then let's turn it over to them and let it run. Right now, according to the figures that I sent out to everybody over a month ago that I got from Butch and Lisa, there are 2.46 people every hour that it's open on premises. And all of the activities, I believe, except for the off-campus visits, are led by volunteers. So our staff people, I think we could potentially spread those hours out and extend the amount of hours that our adult activity center is open so more citizens could use it. I've been hosting the Lions Club for the last year here at City Hall. It's ridiculous that they have to get a city council person to sit here and open up City Hall when we have a senior center or an adult activity center, which actually is the venue that things like that should go on. That's my issue. And I know there was a thing sent out at 3:25 this afternoon. I did not have a chance to thoroughly go through it, stating new policies, but it's just quickly going through it. It appeared that it was, here's how you rent the
Yeah, that was
building.
really just more
Yeah.
about renting space.
So I would just like, and I think we've been beating this horse over the last couple of years, I would just like to see it be a more useful and vibrant place for our citizens, all our citizens, rather than,
All our 50-year-old and older citizens.
Well, why don't we give Parks and Rec like a month or so to lay out what they plan to do, and then come to a work session and talk about future plans.
I think you
Would that
guys are
work?
already working on some nighttime activities where we could see what kind of participation we get.
yeah.
I
And,
know nobody's even signed up for it.
well, people have to know about it. I've been very impressed with the amount of things that y'all actually is on the schedule. So, my view is that there is a lot going on, but the question is, could we have more going on if we were able to extend the hours? That's all.
So can we plan on, Lisa and Kathy, maybe a month or so?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And then we'll have you come back to a work session, kind of do a short little
Yeah,
presentation.
don't want to make you come to every single one. I'm sorry I was out sick last time.
Okay, and then we have the discussion on the residential zoning moratorium. And we're running short on time, but we need to get through this for the meeting tonight.
Did everyone get a copy of that and look at that? Okay. So essentially, the concern that, yes, absolutely, that's, yeah, that one. The concern is that we need to be able to, they're not contemplated in the UDO, what happens when a corporate-owned neighborhood, if it should fail? So, for example, if you have a neighborhood that's corporate-owned, all for rent, and it fails, and having represented some of these, I can tell you that they are sold, not always, but sometimes they're sold. When they're built, they're certainly usually built by good builders, good developers, and they have great intentions. But unfortunately, they bring with them unique circumstances as well that have to be considered. So if they fall through and we then sell them, not us, but they then sell them to fee simple owners, without some kind of plan, typically there may be an HOA, but there's not going to be covenants for each of those properties that contemplate the things that we usually see in covenants. So what you end up with then is an entire neighborhood that may not have any significant covenants and no way to protect neighbors from things like purple houses and greenhouses and non-mowed yards and things like that that we typically see. They may have, if it's private streets, we're going to be stuck, the city is going to be stuck possibly with infrastructure issues. So there are a lot of things that are unique to those neighborhoods that just have to be contemplated. It's not singling them out because they're rentals, but because of the consequences that can come from them. We just need to prepare them. We may need to look at the widths of the streets and the setbacks to accommodate for vehicles, those type of things. So what we've tried to do in this moratorium is at the same time, and we talked with planning, we don't want to hurt any of the momentum that we have going on right now with all the interest in development in Snellville. So what we've done is we have limited the moratorium only to the single-family residential properties. They don't address multifamily, they don't address mixed-use developments. Then within those, anytime that there is a developer that wants to do 3 or more units, they will need to declare whether their intent is that it's to be a development for rent or for sale. And if it's for rent, then it's going to fall under the moratorium until we can get some procedures in place to better be able to address those. Cherokee County has recently redone their ordinance. They actually created new zoning districts that contemplated. And if anyone wants a copy, I do have a copy of their ordinance you can look at to see how they did theirs. But we need to move fairly quickly in whatever we're going to do. But this at least provides some cushion so that we can get a grasp on how better to react to these.
City of Tequila also has zoning ordinance that
There's like design based, because I think the biggest thing, just in my opinion, that we're going to deal with is the succession plan from
right.
an HOA that is, incorporated to one that is going to become the sum of its whole, and who's going to implement it. We have that problem now, like these HOAs go kind of, just go defunct or just don't operate like Crosstown. And that time is just there, and nobody's doing anything.
Exactly.
With it. So maybe a better thing to look for everybody too. I think that's the biggest issue is the succession plan.
We're doing 6 months?
Yeah.
I think we're in 6 months right now, yeah.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions on that? That's on the agenda for tonight.
I don't have a problem with the moratorium.
Do we have a resolution number? 2022.
2022-06. 2022-06.
06.
Can I get done by 6:30?
Very good.
Wow, Chuck, that's amazing.
All right. Motion to adjourn the work session. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second, all in favor? Okay. Now we have the public hearing for the sidewalks projects. For the next hour.
Our stuff be okay to